Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative Headline News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, mornings just got louder, bolder, and more informed. Join Andy Williams and Lennox Smith for real talk, real analysis, and real perspectives from the ground up. The Ground Report, unfiltered and unapologetic. Weekday mornings, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Talk City, 91.1 FM. This was reported on TTT channel on Facebook. And of course, I have followed and listened to the Ground Report for many years. I haven't done so in a while because of differences in opinions on certain issues a couple of years ago, about a year ago. Nevertheless, I'm very happy for them. This confirms, though, that Michael Kirk is no longer part of the team, probably might be appearing as a special guest at times. My response, I've had my issues with both hosts on many occasions in the past, and even a lot of the callers as well, but I'm happy, although I'm a UNC supporter, bear in mind, but we're talking about different issues that I will not raise here. But I'm happy to see that the Ground Report is yet again available to all citizens, even if they don't have internet access, because that was the problem. Andy Williams never gave up, and he continued to air the Ground Report on his YouTube channel, and he had a lot of supporters still, but a lot of individuals were telling him that they cannot access the program on radio anymore because under the PNM government, his program was removed from the airwaves. It was a long and tough road, Andy, but you kept holding on, and now you're reaping the rewards. Congratulations to both of you, Andy Williams and Lennox Smith. Minister of Public Utilities Barry Padarath has assured that the Ruka Water Improvement Program remains ongoing and is expected to result in improved and more reliable water supply for residents of that district, of that area. I hope and pray that the time will come when I will hear this type of announcement taking place in certain parts of Sangre. And you know, where I live, we get almost a constant supply of water. Once in a while, we wouldn't have due to certain circumstances or whatsoever. Maybe it's because our line that was broken or whatsoever. But usually we have a proper supply of water. But there are certain areas, I keep highlighting it, and I've been doing so for the past year or so, places in northeastern settlement, like Upper Babwande. There are areas in Babwande that do receive a water supply, but it seems as though the water pressure is either too low, or because the lines are corroded or whatsoever, that the higher parts of Babwande haven't been able to receive a water supply in over 4 years. And that, people, is unacceptable. And of course, this issue was raised by the MP for Sangre Grande, Toko Sangre Grande, Wayne Sturge, during his election campaign. Yet, for some reason, he has forgotten about the areas that he asked to support and vote for him. All of a sudden, no one sees or hears or knows where Wayne Sturge is.
This government, led by the member for Siparia, does not operate by spite and malice, especially when it comes to water. Unlike what occurred when my friend served as the Minister of Public Utilities. Madam Deputy Speaker, this government remains committed to improving water supply for citizens across Trinidad and Tobago. Accordingly, the project for the drilling and outfitting of Aruka well number 13, which commenced on April 8, 2020, continued implementation. Upon completion, the production well is expected to yield up to 200,000 imperial gallons per day, enhancing the water supply for more than 2,200 residents in Five Rivers, Golden Grove, and Bonnet Gardens. To date, civil works, well drilling, well development, and pump testing have been completed. The construction of the control room and electrical installations are currently underway. Once completed, the control room will be equipped and integrated with all required mechanical and electrical instrumentation for operationalization. Connection of the associated pipelines to the completed Aruka well will therefore follow. Madam Deputy Speaker, there have been some delays with respect to civil works due to the heavy torrential rains over the last couple months, but the project is still 2026. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Minister of Tertiary Education and Skills Training, Professor Demetrius Prakash Prasad, has confirmed that over 500 on-the-job trainees have been hired since May of 2025. Once again, that is good news. That is good news, of course. But what we really want to hear, Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessar, is that the program for the new program that you've put in place for maintenance workers that replaced URP and CPEP, we want to hear that individuals are being hired throughout our communities here in Trinidad. Not just 1,000 individuals. 1,000 individuals cannot maintain all the roadways and the drains and so forth in the various communities. And that kind of provides sufficient jobs, meaningful jobs for individuals that voted for you, Kamla Prasad-Bissessar. They trusted in you that they would have won when you won. And now they have been without jobs for nearly, 6 months now? Because you shut down both CPEP and URP, which I have been suggesting, but I never said to just leave the people unemployed either. I said to hire them under the Ministry of Works. Now, you did not directly do that. You didn't hire them under the Ministry of Works, but you now have a new program which is being controlled and supervised by central government, which I do support. But the labor force needs to be expanded and expanded significantly. We need probably at least about 7,000 maintenance workers throughout Trinidad throughout Trinidad. Farley still controls CPEP in Tobago, so that's why I'm saying Trinidad alone. You need to come better than that. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessar.
Madam Deputy Speaker, the Ministry of Tertiary Education and Skills Training has reviewed the data held by the On-the-Job Training Program Division on this matter. And the data has indicated that over the period May 2025 to present, 520 OJT trainers were employed in the different sectors in Trinidad and Tobago. 323 in the public sector, 180 in schools, 11 in private sector, and 6 were assigned to non-governmental organizations.
Chief Secretary Farley Augustine confirmed meeting with Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bissessar and Opposition Leader Penelope Beckles on matters of the state. He said communication will continue regularly to ensure that bills such as the Tobago Autonomy Bill gets mass appeal in the houses of Parliament. The Chief Secretary said this bill is more important than the fireworks bill. I agree with him, and is hoping it gets the same across-the-board agreement from both sides. In other words, he's telling the PNM, because UNC already said they're going to support it. It's one of the agendas of the Kamla Prasad administration this year. They're going to focus on giving Tobago more autonomy. Question is, will PNM support it? Institutionalizing of referendum will be brought up for consideration in the legislative agenda of the Tobago House of Assembly. He's taking it to the people of Tobago, to decide for sure what type of autonomy that they want. In particular, the question of autonomy and other major island-wide issues will be put to the people, which is wonderful. That is true democracy, people, as non-binding ways to get the public's opinion. The Tobago House of Assembly will have its first ordinary meeting on Thursday, 22nd of January, 2026, where they will amend the rules of the House to create more transparency and direct democracy. The National Agricultural Research and Extension Institute is partnering with farmer Christopher Moses to cultivate 5 acres of onions in Latham. President Dr. Irfan Ali recently stated that the government, through the Ministry of Agriculture, would collaborate with farmers through regions 9 and 8 to boost crop production in 2026, noting that together the two regions will amplify production in both traditional and non-traditional crops. This is what we need much more of here in Trinidad and Tobago. We need to see central government supporting the farmers in Trinidad and Tobago financially, not just with guidance and whatsoever. Finances, people. As the government accelerates hinterland infrastructure and connectivity, some 50 people from the village of Karasabi in Region 9 will be employed to upgrade the current earthen airstrip into a concrete airfield. Continued development of infrastructure. They will reach us one of these days, probably will end up passing us soon as well when it pertains to infrastructure development. This project will be built at a cost of $993 million Guyanese dollars, transforming it into 8 inches of thick, rigid, paved concrete, spanning a length of 3,000 feet by 50 feet, with a strength of 5,000 pounds per square inch. And bear in mind, people, there are also concrete roads in Guyana, which is something that I'm suggesting even here in Trinidad as well. In areas like, especially in minor roadways like where I live, in Gilk Street and at the corner of Gilk Street and Lindsay Street, that area, no matter how many times you pave it with pitch, it ends up with a huge pothole and we call a swimming pool. And therefore that little area, that little corner there, they should put a platform, a concrete platform in that area, put proper steel and whatsoever and things like that, ensure that it wouldn't crack up. And then, of course, you could still pave it with asphalt. Micro and small enterprises in Guyana will soon receive further financial support through the Institute of Private Enterprise Development, with a US $5 million loan agreement signed by the Inter-American Development Bank country representative Lorena Solorzano Salazar and Chief Executive Officer of IPED Jagdish Haripasad on Thursday. The loan injection to IPED will assist assist that entity to further support women, youth, and rural entrepreneurs, and will also help IPED in diversifying the sources from which it receives funding. Additionally, in its 2025 manifesto, the government, Irfan Ali government, of course, committed to the creation of a new zero interest. This is what I love to hear about Guyana right about now. I'm telling you, it's passing us here in Trinidad, The creation of a new zero interest development bank, GDB, which will offer zero collateral loans. You won't need any collateral whatsoever to small and medium enterprises. The bank is expected to benefit youth, women, persons with disabilities, and small and medium scale businesses. And government will provide US $200 million for the initiative. On Sunday last, President Dr. Mohammed Irfan Ali announced that government has initiated discussions with several major companies such as banks, DIH, to forge new avenues for small and medium enterprises through the new development bank expected to be launched soon. I'm telling you, people, Irfan Ali is a role model for the entire Caribbean region to follow. A comprehensive program of rehabilitation is currently underway at 94 educational institutes across Region 2, aimed at significantly improving the safety, comfort, and overall quality of learning environments for students and educators. This was disclosed by Chairperson of the Regional Education Committee, Parmanand Singh, during the first statutory meeting of the Regional Democratic Council. Opposition spokesman on education in Jamaica, Damian Crawford, says the national conversation following Hurricane Melissa is missing the mark, remaining fixated on learning loss, while largely ignoring the urgent need for learning recovery. I've been saying this all the time. I don't live in Jamaica, but I look at a lot of videos, and a lot of times places in the rural areas especially are still being neglected. I think Andrew Holness is on the right track, but he needs to up his game. Crawford, who is also an opposition senator, made the point during an address to the Rotary Club of Kingston yesterday under the theme Education Under Pressure, Hurricane Melissa, System Resilience, Readiness for External Examinations. A new state program to assist some of the most vulnerable families who were displaced by Hurricane Melissa is geared towards the needy and not the greedy. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has warned. I fully support what he's stating there. Politicians especially should be warned by what he's saying, or should take note of what he's saying, sorry. Holness also appealed to beneficiaries of the shelter relief program to use the government-issued grants for the purposes they are intended as exactly, and not take it and pocket the money. Under the SRP, persons whose homes sustain severe, major, or minor damage are eligible for grants ranging from 75,000 Jamaican dollars to 500,000 Jamaican dollars to cover roof replacement and other repairs. The Prime Minister estimated that 90% of beneficiaries are going to use the money for intended purposes, before indicating that his appeal was directed to the remaining 10% that is going to create the problem. And you know how the saying goes, Peter pays for Paul? Well, Prime Minister Andrew Holness is trying to tell people, please do not let Peter have to pay for Paul. Do not use the money for what it's intended for, people. The Jamaican economy grew by 5.1% in the July to September quarter of 2025. That is wonderful news, compared with the corresponding period in 2024. Providing details during a press briefing at the AC Hotel in St. Andrew on January 15th, Director General Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Lisha Dilati-Boder, said the overall performance in the third quarter largely reflected continued recovery from the negative impacts of Hurricane Beryl in July 2024. But the thing about it is now that ended up with Hurricane Melissa. So, you know, most likely that statistic will end up dropping this year. But let us pray, continue to pray for the people of Jamaica that the recovery process will accelerate in Jesus' name. A 3-day lobster and lambi festival is set to begin today in Carriacou and Petite Martinique, with participation also expected from other Grenadine islands, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, of course. Grenada Tourism Authority Chief Marketing Officer Tonya Charles said that although Carriacou still recovering from the effects of Hurricane Beryl, the decision was taken to continue promoting activities on the island as a way to support economic recovery and uplift local communities. She explained that the festival provides an opportunity for residents, vendors, and cultural practitioners to benefit from increased visitor activity. Remember, a lot of those smaller islands depend on tourism to generate revenue in their country, while also showcasing the resilience and rich culinary heritage of the respective islands. Charles added that the festival is being promoted as a regional experience, welcoming participation from neighboring islands, including St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and encouraging regional travel and cultural exchange within the Grenadines.
The long-term goal for this is for persons not just to experience the event, but to experience Carriacou and Petite Martinique as a whole. So what we've done is we've encouraged, some of the service providers to put on their tours, do other events. Of course, nothing that clashes with the times that we're offering, our main events. But we want them to see, one, that Carriacou and Petite Martinique has reopened for business. Yes, there's challenges, but we're not going to wait until everything is completely back to normal. So that's one. I also want people, especially from the mainland of Grenada and neighboring islands of, the Grenadines, Union, Bequia, and so, to look at Carriacou and Petite Martinique as a destination in itself. Grenada has 3 islands, but at the same time, we offer 3 unique experiences, and that's what I want them to do.
Now for the interesting facts segment, it is a frequently overlooked fact that the Great Pyramids of Giza, the last surviving wonder of the ancient world, sits directly adjacent to a lush green golf course. You would never think so. The course is part of the historic Marriott Mena House Hotel, a luxury establishment that has hosted world leaders and royalty for over a century. While standard tourist photos are carefully framed to make the pyramid appear isolated in the vast desert, They are actually located on the very edge of the bustling city of Giza. This proximity creates a striking visual contrast where ancient limestone monuments loom over manicured fairways and sand traps. The existence of the course highlights the reality of Giza Plateau today. It is not a remote archaeological site, but a monument fully integrated into the modern urban and leisure landscape of Cairo. Now for the travel segment, closing off with the travel segment. Thailand offers a vibrant mix of stunning tropical beaches, bustling markets, rich cultural heritage, and delicious cuisine, all wrapped in the famous Land of Smiles hospitality, catering to diverse interests from adventure and nightlife to serene wellness retreats. I don't really care about the nightlife anymore. Years now, but adventure, nature, love it. Making it a top Southeast Asian destination with well-developed infrastructure for various travel styles. The Tourism Authority of Thailand promotes the country with the slogan, Amazing Thailand, emphasizing its unique blend of modernity and tradition, friendly people, and unforgettable experiences. Folks, that brings us to the end of today's headline news. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe most of all. In Jesus' name.